Red Bull and Christian Horner have threatened legal action against Ferrari and Mercedes after their defamatory comments towards the team in regard to the possible breach of F1's financial cap last season. After news broke of the reported overspend on the $145 million budget cap last year, Toto Wolff said the possible breach of regulations would be a heavyweight showstopper for the sport, alleging it's been an open secret that Red Bull were being investigated for months in regards to their overspending in 2021. The Austrian added that the impact on the sport could affect F1 for up to 3 years, while Ferrari and Mattia Binotto has demanded a severe and swift response from the FIA to any breach of regulations. Now, in reaction to the comments from their two rivals, Horner and Red Bull has threatened legal action against both parties, saying the submission between the team, Red Bull, and the FIA is one that is confidential. I have no idea what the outcome of our rivals' submissions are, or the accounting treatment, or so on, so I would be intrigued to know where their source of information for these fictitious claims have come from. They are hugely defamatory, and we take umbrage to them. Horner wondered openly how this information is in the other party's hands, claiming the FIA is still going through their process around the issue, and that only a clear withdrawal of the team's statements will be accepted by Red Bull and Horner. The FIA is still not letting any official word out, including what possible sanctions and repercussions could be handed out if Red Bull are found guilty of going over the budget cap. But the first time that we hear about it, we will let you know here at GP Fans. Saturday on track in Singapore was just as dramatic as off it. Shocks came early in the damp conditions, with George Russell falling out of the session in Q2 by 0.06 of a second as teams gambled on a drying track with slicks and inters. Q3 was a rock and roll affair, with drivers still unsure which tyres would be the tyre for the final runs, and more confusion came when Yuki Tsunoda on the inters went faster than Verstappen in the opening runs of the session. That was until Lewis Hamilton set a 1 minute 53.082 lap, 2 seconds faster than the AlphaTauri of the Japanese driver. As the dry tyres kicked in, times began to tumble, with Hamilton having to snatch back the lead and pole position from Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. He'd have to do it again in the latter part of the session too, as the Monegasque driver put in a 1 minute 49.412, with Hamilton's final run of the session 5/100ths of a second off the leader. That run for the British driver would leave him only third on the grid for Sunday's race, with Sergio Perez second 0.022 seconds off the Ferrari. Carlos Sainz would finish the session fourth, with Fernando Alonso fifth, Lando Norris sixth, and Max Verstappen down in seventh after the Dutch driver twice appeared to abort his final runs. Kevin Magnussen in the Haas was eighth, with Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda ninth and 10th respectively. It was really special, said Leclerc after the session, talking about his final run. Every qualifying on street tracks are super on the limit, and even more when it's damp like that. There are some parts of the track that are wet, so you lose the rear. But overall, I managed to do quite a clean lap. It will work well. Now, Max Verstappen was of course left incensed after his final run was aborted and there was no chance to push for pole position this Saturday in Singapore, and Christian Horner was quick to reveal the reason why the pit wall decided to pull their driver in rather than setting one last time. So a miscalculation from the pit wall, the reason. There'll be plenty to discuss, I'm sure, in the Red Bull debrief, as there will be after a sizzling Saturday from Singapore on gpfans.com and GPFans Global on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok as well.